Hey, RedZone members, welcome to In the Red Zone. Sean Brown, Michael Johnson here with you, and it's time for our extra picks for college football week 11. So I'm sure you've watched the other video by now. Here's the 7 extra picks that you guys get for being members of In the Red Zone. First one, Purdue against Illinois. Illinois is a 5-point favorite. Illinois coming off a home loss to Michigan State, who had 8 players suspended following the tunnel fight against Michigan. Purdue manages only 3 points.
That was a jumping.
Jumping, yeah. Purdue manages only 3 points in a loss to Iowa, so both teams coming off a loss. For Illinois, though, losing that game against Michigan State at home, that's tough. I mean, that's really tough. But clearly, Michigan State players responded to Mel Tucker, like you had mentioned off camera. So in this matchup, really you've got a team in Illinois that has a great defense. They're one of the top 12 defenses in the country. Who likes to run the ball. Then you have Purdue, who forget running ball. They just throw it all over the place, or try to.
That's what I thought they'd do against Iowa, and they
too.
just were not able to. Iowa's defense just stifled them the entire game, and that was just not great.
As far as this one goes, I've kind of been on the fence. I could see it being a close game, but at the end of the day, I hope Illinois is not going on a skid, because they were really in first place in the Big Ten West. They control their own destiny. They just got to win out. Iowa has enough losses. That won't matter. Illinois just has to refocus and worry about winning. They got to put last week's game behind them. That doesn't matter. Go forward and win. I think they do, and I think they win by 6 or more, so I've got Illinois.
I'm taking Illinois as well. Illinois has 16 interceptions on the year, and Purdue's quarterback, Aiden O'Connell, has 15 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. So definitely, gives up the ball a little bit more than you'd like to see. So give me Illinois.
Okay, next one. Notre Dame is at Navy. Notre Dame is a 17.5-point favorite. They do go on the road to Annapolis. But Navy has been struggling this year. I've got to see them twice. I think I picked them in one of the games, and they didn't cover. Or they did cover, actually. They scored late to cover. I can't remember who that was against. Was it SMU, maybe? Anyway, Notre Dame has hit, like, the 5th gear. Like, they struggled early in the season. First-year coach. Same thing as Oregon. Struggled early. They've hit their stride in November. They're playing very well. They might be playing as good as any team in college football right now. They're coming off just a blowout win over Clemson. I don't think they figured out their offensive problems at Notre Dame. I think they go on the road here. Navy does run that option a lot. They control the ball. They control the line of scrimmage. But I think Notre Dame's defense is just so stifling that they're not going to be able to get much running the ball. And I really think Notre Dame comes out, and I think they cruise to a 20-point win.
Notre Dame, I said in the free video they've turned a corner here. They did lose to Stanford 16-14, but their last 5 games, that's their only loss. They beat BYU 28-20. Beat UNLV 44-21, beat Syracuse 41-24 at Syracuse, and then they are at home and beat Clemson. So I don't think Navy, they're 3-6 on the year. They lost to Cincinnati. They beat Temple in overtime. They lost to Houston, SMU, and then they did beat Tulsa, Tulsa isn't as good this year as they have been, at least defensively too. Because normally they'll have a good defense, but
giving up 400 yards a game.
Right.
Now,
so I'm taking Notre Dame.
Okay, Virginia Tech is at Duke. Duke is a 10-point favorite. All I got to say is Duke. They have surprised me this year. When I've picked Duke, they've covered. I think Duke rolls to another win, more than 10 points.
Yeah, I'm taking Duke as well.
Okay, mark that one here. All right, next game, and I just lost it. Hang on. Bear with me.
Next game is Louisville at Clemson, and they are Clemson is a let's see, what did we have? 7.5-point favorite. So they're at Clemson. They're at South Carolina. Louisville has lost 3, but they've actually had some decent wins. They beat Wake Forest 48-21. They beat Pitt 24-10. They did lose to Boston College, so that kind of gives me a little bit of pause. That was, 5 games ago. And then they beat JMU, who James Madison has been pretty good this year. Probably not Power 5 good, but, Louisville was able to beat them 34-10. I don't know that I want to overreact to Clemson losing to Notre Dame, but I definitely look at the last few games, and Syracuse is a pretty decent team, and they won by 6 points there. They did beat Florida State 34-28, so 6 points there.
6 points there. They only managed they score 14 against Notre Dame. Really, it was 7 most of the game, and then they get a late touchdown.
Right, and then NC State kept it within 10 points there, and then Boston College they did beat 31-30 or 31-3.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take Louisville in this game.
I'm taking Louisville as well. I think that it could be a 7-point win for Clemson.
Yeah.
But 7.5, I can't take it with the hook. I do have to take.
Right.
I got to take Louisville in that one. They're playing good enough that I think they can. And it's not out of the realm of possibility that Clemson loses 2 in a row and they lose this game.
Yeah.
It could happen. Although that's tough. That's a tough go for Louisville to do that.
Well, that's what I was
Clemson.
saying. I don't want to overreact to that because Notre Dame is getting better.
Yeah.
And I don't think Clemson is as good as their number 4 ranking.
Yeah.
To begin with. So.
Yep.
But I do have Louisville to keep it close.
Boston College is at NC State. NC State is an 18-point favorite. NC State beat Wake Forest again this past week. We had both picked Wake. They're kind of hitting a slide a little bit. So NC State, despite losing their quarterback Leary for the season, they've been able to fill that gap, and they're finding ways to win. And they find a way to win this one well, but they're not going to cover 18. I got Boston College to cover.
Got Boston College. Boston College lost. They've been putting up fights in some of their losses. 38-30 against Duke. And then they lost to UConn at UConn. That's
UConn's been a little bit surprising, though. Remember, is it Jim Mora, the first-year coach? And he went out and got a bunch of transfers.
They lost to Utah State.
That's a bad loss because Utah State's not good this year.
They got beat by Syracuse 48-14. They lost to Michigan 59-0. Lost to NC State 41-10. They did beat Fresno State 19-14. So they're kind of finding a little bit here towards the mid to late part of the season. They beat Florida International. They did get beat by Ball State, but they put up a fight, 25-21 in that one.
UConn?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, of course, they beat Boston College. They beat UMass. So, UConn's not terrible. So,
who do you like? So,
I'm gonna take NC State.
Okay.
I think was that 18?
18.
Yeah, I'm gonna take NC State.
Okay. South Carolina at Florida. Florida is an 8-point favorite. I don't know which South Carolina is going to show up, but it's in the swamp. And being in the swamp with Anthony Richardson, he's finally figuring out how to throw the ball a little bit. Florida's going to win by more than 8.
Yeah, I got Florida as well.
Okay. Let's mark that one.
And then how in the world? I mean, I know this is the opening line.
Yeah.
And I got to see if it's moved.
TCU at Texas, big game, rivalry, primetime, ABC. Texas somehow is a 7-point favorite.
Still a 7-point favorite.
And I don't need anything else to know that I'm taking TCU.
I'm taking TCU as well. I think they outright win the game.
Yes, I do too.
TCU has, is this their last big one?
Who have they got left to play?
They've got Baylor next, and then they have Iowa State. So I think TCU has a chance to win all 3 of these last games.
Yeah. Now, what's probably going to happen, because this has been the norm, Texas has found ways to get leads, and then they blow leads.
Yeah.
TCU is almost always trailing at halftime, and they come out on fire in the second half.
Right.
That's just kind of been the norm for these teams this year. That's probably going to happen again.
Yeah.
Texas will probably be up at halftime. TCU will come out. Texas won't be able to score a point, and they muster a field goal the entire second half, and TCU blows their doors off.
Now,
that's probably how it's going to go down.
So they've won their last 3 games by 10 points each. So they beat Texas Tech 34-24. They beat West Virginia 41-31. They beat Kansas State 38-28. And then before that, it was a double overtime game to Oklahoma State. And so we saw what they did against OU. they have been scored on, so I don't have any doubt that Texas will score points in this game. But I just think that Max Duggan is just on another level.
This is the thing where I've said all year long, Texas is overvalued in the FPI. The FPI ranks them where they should be based on their talent, not how they're actually playing.
Yeah.
And that's why Texas is the favorite here, when really TCU should be a favorite.
Yeah.
If you really look at it. But because on paper, Texas has more talent. When we talk about recruiting, stars, and all that, they have more talent on paper.
Yeah.
But they're not playing like a team.
But Sonny Dykes has just, he has, in his second year?
Yeah. No, first year. This is the first year.
Oh, wow.
And he's the first Big 12 coach to ever start his first year out of school 8-0.
Man.
First one ever.
Aren't they 9-0 now?
Or 9-0, whatever it is.
And so
8-0 going into last week's game.
I think they won 7 games last year with Gary Patterson.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Gary Patterson is now with Texas as a defensive analyst, I believe.
Okay.
I don't know his title, but I know that he's working with the defense in some capacity. And a lot of people think, if I forget who Texas's defensive coordinator is, if they end up having, letting that guy go, then they would ask Gary Patterson to be the defensive coordinator. But I'm taking TCU all the way in this. It's not for my hatred for Texas or anything like that.
No,
it's just I think they're just the best team in the Big 12 right now, and I'm glad to say that I picked them as my dark horse.
There you go.
So,
okay, that's our extra picks for you members for Week 11. So later this week, Wednesday, Thursday, I'll get NFL picks up for you guys. Hope you guys have enjoyed the picks, and then also next week, things are going to be up in the air next week because I got a lot going on at work and. We might not have extra picks next week. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how that goes.
It is Diabetes Awareness Month, and my daughter is type 1. And
I'm type 2.
Yeah, he's type 2. So on Saturday here in Oklahoma City, we have the Diabetes Awareness Walk. So that's what I will be doing for the first part of Saturday. I'll have to DVR that OU game.
I work at one of the local TV stations here, and we are moving from our old station to the new station and have to do the switch over the weekend. So I will be working around the clock Saturday into Sunday. I don't even know how we're going to shoot our picks yet. We have to figure that out. So
it'll probably be a Zoom type deal.
I am going to be no sleep. I'm going to be packing a case of Red Bull and just going at it. So
either that or I show up to your hotel and we just do it
in the lobby. Because it's And I'll be holding my eyelids open so that we can make the picks because I'm sure I'll be exhausted.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'll get to watch any games this week, to be honest with you. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Guys, thank you very much for being members. We'll see you next week. Good luck on your picks.